Did you know that right now you're missing out on 80% of your potential customers? Every contractor does this, almost all of them at least. You run ads, people call, you send your sales guy out to the ones who are ready to buy. But here's what you don't realize. For every person that's ready to buy what you're selling today, there's 3 or 4 or 5 or even more who are going to buy in the future. They're called future buyers, and they're invisible in your current marketing. I'm Rich Harshaw, founder and CEO of Level 10 Contractor. We help remodeling and home services contractors generate 2 to 500 quotable leads every single month reliably like clockwork. Today's podcast is 5 ways to cash in on information offers. What's an information offer? Great question. Well, let me put it very bluntly. It's an offer for somebody to contact you to receive information as opposed to setting an appointment. You may have heard this called lead magnets. Now, right off the bat, most of you are going to throw up a flag and say, wait a second, I don't really want people that are not ready to buy right now. I only want people that are ready to set appointments so that my sales guy can go over there and close the deal. We want to walk out with the check. That's just how we roll. And I understand that. That's how most of you roll. I'm also giving you an alternate idea of how to do things on this podcast that maybe you haven't thought of before that maybe will have some benefit for you. So what I'm going to talk about today is not necessarily for everyone. I think it could and maybe even should be for everyone, but I understand that you've got a business model and maybe this doesn't fit into it. But listen to me. Just hear me out, see what you think. Okay, now here's the upside of an information offer. The upside is you're going to generate tremendously more leads, bigger quantity. The major downside is that the majority of those leads, they're probably not going to be ready to buy right now. So you've got to figure out what to do with them. Now, I've had a lot of success with this. I've had lots of success with this in my career, but in the remodeling industry, when I first got involved back in the early 2000s, let's see, about 2005, 6, 7, somewhere in there, before the recession, I got involved with 4 season sunrooms on a national level. I went down to Cabo San Lucas. I spoke at their meeting that they had for their top producers, and I gave a little seminar there. It generated quite a bit of business for me. It was pretty cool. I liked doing business with the sunroom dealers. Again, before the recession of 2008, where a lot of those guys got wiped off the face of the map, but that's a whole different story. Okay, so the sunroom guys back in those days were riding high. Okay, again, I know I've said this 3 times now, but before the recession, they were selling like crazy. People had money, business was good, but like everybody else, they wanted to do even better. So one of the sunroom companies hired me to do some stuff for them. I think they were in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I'm going on memory here. It's been like 20 years almost. Okay. Anyway, here's what they said. We need some help. And they had a magazine ad that they wanted some help with. So the first thing I did is I created something called the Sunroom Idea Guide. I know, very innovative name for that. The Sunroom Idea Guide. It was basically an overview of all the different kinds of sunrooms that were available, the pros and cons, pricing levels, what people could expect. It was a really nice little report. Again, the Sunroom Idea Guide. That's all. That's very simple. And those guys back in those days were running ads in the Clipper magazine, and they were running this full page ad, and it would generate a certain number of leads every month. I don't remember what the number was. I just remember that we multiplied it by a lot when we ran this ad the way that I'm talking about here. So here's the first thing I did. I said, hey, instead of running a full page ad in the Clipper magazine, let's break that sucker in 2, same price, and let's run 2 half-page ads, which is what we ended up doing. Again, we got 2 half-page ads for the same price as 1 full-page ad, and I made sure that we got those negotiated so that they were running on the top of the page, okay? We don't want them on the bottom where people don't see it, because when people are flipping through, they tend to see the top, not the bottom. So now we've got twice as much coverage for the same price. That's pretty good. Then we ran ads that said, and I quote, if you're thinking about a sunroom, call us or go online and request our free Sunroom Idea Guide. And then there was a picture of it, and there was a little bit of text, and it said, here's great things about having a sunroom. But it was just very minimal text, just very minimal. Beautiful picture of a sunroom. Go online and call. I think we were mostly just pushing them online for the free Sunroom Idea Guide. Well, here was the multiple. 5 times. It blew up 5 times. They got 5x the number of leads that they normally were used to getting. Now, I'm going to say this from memory. I think they had close to 100 leads, so I guess they normally would be getting about 20. That's 5x. So they were super thrilled. 20 leads, 100 leads. But again, now you've got to know that not all the people are necessarily ready to buy that are in that lead pool. So how do you deal with that? Now, I'm going to go through this in the 5 ways to cash in on this information offers. Okay, that's what we're here to talk about. All of this I just said was kind of the precursor and the warm-up to the main event here. So let's go ahead and jump in, and I'm going to talk about this and walk you through this. The first way to cash in on information offers is understanding something that I call the educational spectrum. Okay, now to understand what the educational spectrum is, kind of mentally go with me here and draw a horizontal line on a piece of paper. Now put a short vertical line on the left and a line on the right that shows that is the full width of the spectrum. I want you to come over about a quarter of the way and make a tiny little line. Okay, just do this mentally. Maybe I'm showing it on the screen right now. I don't actually know if my graphics guy got that or not. I guess we'll find out. You're watching it right now. It's okay. You can work this through through this with me just verbally if you have to. And if you're listening on the audio podcast, then you're not having the visual anyway. Okay, now a little above that quarter of the way mark, I want you to write the letter A, okay? Like ABC, just write an A. Okay, now what we've got is a line that's the width of your paper, and about a quarter of the way from the left, we've got a little tick mark, and it's listed as A. Then what I want you to do is create all the letters of the alphabet all the way down to the right side. So the right side, the very end, at the end of this spectrum is going to be Z. So we've got an A, and then at a quarter of a way, and then we've got B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, X, Y, Z, okay? I hope I didn't miss some letters there. This represents where people are at in terms of readiness to buy whatever it is that you happen to be selling, okay? So on the point A, this is where a person first gets the idea, where they first entertain the idea that they're going to buy what you sell, okay? A. And then they're going to get a little bit more ramped up, and they're going to get into the middle part of the alphabet, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, something like that. This is where they're going to do their research, where they're going to try to figure out, do I really want to buy this? If I do want to buy this, who should I buy this from? Then you get down to the right side of the educational spectrum, you know, W, X, Y, Z, and this is where they're really going into purchase mode, okay? And they're making the final decisions on who to buy from, and they're actually going to plunk down their cash. That's point Z on the educational spectrum. So the idea here is not to have a line and look at it. We're not just doing this for academic self-indulgence, but you want to understand that people have this sort of spectrum of readiness to buy whatever it is that you're selling. Now, you might be thinking, wait a second, we started at point A, which is a quarter of the way over. What's on the left side of that? Between the left side of the line and point A, that first quarter. And this is what we simply call off spectrum. It's technically kind of on spectrum because it's actually on the line, but it's before the letter A, so we're just going to call it off spectrum. This represents people that aren't even considering buying what you sell. I'll give you an example. If somebody just bought a lawnmower for their yard and you're advertising lawnmowers, they're not even considering buying a lawnmower because they just freaking bought one. They don't need one, so they're off spectrum. Most things in life, you're off spectrum. You're not thinking about buying it. So as soon as you start to entertain the idea that maybe, just maybe, I want to buy whatever that thing is, then you jump onto the educational spectrum, and you've got to understand that not everybody who's thinking about it is actually ready to buy. Down here on the right-hand side, this is what we call now buyers. Are you with me? Okay, now buyers. These are people who are actively considering and looking at ways to buy what you sell. Guess who's normally responding to your advertisements and becoming your normal leads? I'm talking about the people that you're sending your salespeople over to. They're now buyers, okay? So you run an ad, people hear your ad over time, and if you're doing your advertising and farming the right way, when they finally become ready, they've heard all your ads, they understand your identity, they know your value proposition, they know who you are, they know how you're different, they know why you're different, they know how you're better, they know what to expect if and when they do business with you. All of that is called identity. So they pick up the phone or they go online, they fill out a forum on your website, they reach out, they contact you. They're now buyers. They set an appointment because they want somebody to come over and sell them. That's the reason they initiated the contact with you. However, here's what you've got to understand, and it's really the point of our whole conversation today. You've got the whole rest of all of those people out there who are off spectrum. And then more importantly, on the left hand and the middle part of the spectrum, people who are not now buyers. What are they? Future buyers. We could call them investigators. Future buyers are on the left, and in the middle, you've got investigators. Okay? Those are people who are not going to pick up the phone and call for a sales appointment. They're not ready. It's too early. So here's the key. How do you reach out and grab these people and get in touch with them? So I'm going to go through this concept called educational spectrum because I want you to understand that when you're doing your advertising the way that you've probably traditionally been doing it, the only people that you're appealing to are the now buyers. Now, I'm not saying that that's good, and I'm not saying that it's bad. Look, it's not right or wrong. I just want to identify what it is so that we can have a conversation here. Now, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to move on to number 2 on this list of 5 ways to cash in on information buyers. I want you to think about this. What if you could generate a list of all the people who are going to buy what you sell in the future? What if somebody came to you and said, hey, I've built a time machine, which is weird. I know it's impossible, but look, we're just having kind of a thought experiment here. So go with me. Somebody comes to you and they say, hey, I built it. I've got a time machine. Napoleon Dynamite, he would be thrilled. I went to the future, and instead of all the wonderful things that I could do with the time machine, I decided to find out all the people in the future who are going to buy, let's say, Windows in the next 3 years. I know it's a weird thing for a time traveler to do, but again, just go with me on this. Now, you're a window company, and somebody's offering to sell you a list of all the people who are going to buy Windows in the next 3 years. Would you buy the list? And if so, how much would you pay per name for that list of people? Go ahead. Tell me down in the comments. How much would you pay for a list of 1,000 people who were 100% for sure going to buy Windows in your area over the next 3 years? Do the math and let us know exactly how much you're willing to pay. The answer should be a lot, right? Because how cool would that be to know all the people that are going to buy what you sell, Windows in this example, over the next 3 years? What I'm telling you you is that an information offer essentially allows you to generate that list without having to invest in a flux capacitor and time travel, okay? Because here's what you're going to do. You're going to put an offer out there for some kind of a free report, a lead magnet, if you will. And it's going to be our next thing that we're going to talk about here in just a minute. People are going to respond and ask for that thing, a Sunroom Idea Guide. And you're going to know full well that they're not ready to buy because they're either future buyers, remember the educational spectrum, or investigators. Some of them will be now buyers, but the majority will be future buyers or investigators. And as long as you're willing to be patient and nurture them, you can get the sale. And in fact, you'll have the inside track to get those sales because if you do your job in terms of nurturing, you can nurture them and let them know who you are, how you're different, why you're better, what they can expect when they do business with you. Do you see how this works, right? Okay. So let's go to the next step. Step 1 was understanding the educational spectrum. We went through that in detail. Number 2 was what if you could generate a list of all future buyers? Number 3 now is to actually create some kind of a report. Okay, so what kind of report can you create? Earlier, I talked about a Sunroom Idea Guide. If you sell a product that's very visually interesting and appealing, like sunrooms or kitchens or bathrooms, maybe even siding, exterior remodeling, then you can create an idea guide. The kitchen remodeling idea guide, the bathroom remodeling idea guide, the exterior upgrade to your home idea guide. And what do you put inside of that thing? Hey, how about this? Professional photographs of the jobs that you do, put them in this book, print them up, put them on a PDF, logistically do it however you want. I don't really care. It doesn't matter. Here's what does matter. Use a PDF, okay? It's fine. Now, send it out to these people who have requested it, and now you've got a sunroom idea guide or a kitchen remodeling idea guide. If you got something that's not quite as visually interesting, like, I don't know, windows or roofing, hey, cool roof there, Rich. You could put together something like maybe a consumer's guide to replacement windows or consumer's guide to replacing your roof or consumer's guide to upgrading your siding or something like that. Call it whatever you want, okay? And the idea here is just to put it together in an actual booklet. If you print the booklet, more power to you. Send it out to people. Hard copy. We can have a big conversation and debate about should you print it? Is that outdated? Do people even want to see that? And, why don't you just email the dumb thing? And I don't want to have that conversation because do it however you want. I don't care. Okay, here's what I do care about. That you have something that looks like a book that you can put on the advertisement so people can see it, or put it on a squeeze page or a landing page so that people can request it so they can go see it. And like I said, you can send them a PDF, whatever you want to do, but you need something that looks like an actual printed guide that people can get a visual on, okay? So it's pretty simple. You could also have what we call a contractor standards guide that details how you stand apart from your competition by forcing a comparison along lines that you're going to always win. Now, I've talked about this before on other episodes of the podcast. I don't want to go into detail on the contractor standards guide right now, but here's what you need to know, kind of a quick hit on this. It's a report, something that you can offer in your advertising. Again, here's what's going to happen. The people who are on the left side of the educational spectrum, future buyers, or in the middle of the educational spectrum, investigators, okay, remember that? They're going to see this, and with this offer for a free sunroom idea guide or a kitchen remodeling idea guide or a consumer's guide to replacement windows or whatever it is, they're going to say to themselves, hey, that's kind of interesting. That could help me as I consider buying this windows or roofs or kitchens or sunrooms or whatever it is, gutter protection. I don't really care. Whatever it is, okay? And then they're going to reach out, and you can give them either a phone number so they can request it, or you can say go online to get it, or if it's a Facebook ad, they just click on the form, they fill it out. You can have something like sunrooms123.com, run it on the radio, people will go find it, and then people will go to your site and they'll find it, they'll fill in the form. I'm going to kind of transition into number 4 right now, which is testing before you roll this out. So one thing you can do is roll these ads out on Facebook. Like I just mentioned, it's a good place to start. It's inexpensive, it's quick, and you can do a lot of tests for a lot of different things. Okay, you can have people go to a landing page. Okay, so you run an ad on Facebook that says free sunroom idea guide, free kitchen remodeling guide. Okay, remember, whatever it was. And then have them go to a one-page landing page where they fill out a form. And the form says, here's my names, here's my address, here's my phone number, here's my email. And then you want to ask them some stuff, okay? Like, when were you considering remodeling your kitchen? Assuming it's kitchens, okay? And then you could say, give it like a drop down right away, 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, 12 to 24 months, 24 plus months. So you can get an idea of when in the future they're thinking about doing this. Are they a future buyer? Or are they a now buyer? If they're a now buyer, they'll say, hey, I'm ready right now. There's also some different things that you can offer. You could ask them what kinds of things they're interested in. So maybe they're interested in a full kitchen remodel, or maybe just a quick fix, kitchen refresh, kitchen refinishing, something like that. So gather some information on that. And here's what we're looking for. We're looking to get a ratio of now buyers versus future buyers, because I'm going to tell you this. Remember, on the educational spectrum, there were future buyers, there were investigators, and there were now buyers. Left spectrum, middle spectrum, right spectrum, okay? And you're going to get right spectrum and now buyers to request your free sunroom idea guide or your free consumer's guide to replacing your windows. You will get now buyers. Guess what you can do with now buyers? Yeah, you can set appointments with them just like you do with any lead that you get now normally anyway. So now you got to be asking this question on the form also. You can ask people, would you like to set an appointment for our person to come over and, show you what we've got? You You can say that more eloquently, but you get the idea. Okay, generally what we're hoping for is a ratio of about 20% now buyers. Okay, 20%. And if you remember the story from the beginning of this podcast, I talked about the free Sunroom Idea guide. I said that we saw about 20% now buyers. In fact, we're seeing that the ratio of leads that were coming in that were now buyers was about the same as the number of now buyer leads that they were getting previously from their old ads. But instead of just getting the 20 leads and that's it, they're now getting 20 leads and 80 future leads. Again, they were previously only getting the 20 now buyers. So essentially, it's like getting all of the now buyer leads that you were going to normally get, and also on top of that, getting all these future leads. Remember how we talked about getting that list of future buyers? That's what we're trying to do. So run this out there in a test. See what happens. If you get some success with it, you might feel like it's going to be a positive thing, then roll it out bigger. You don't have to do $1 million all at once, okay? Then you can roll it out in other kinds of advertising. So if you found this helpful so far, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button on our channel. We're putting valuable content like this out every single week. You don't want to miss any of it. All right, let's end with number 5, which is following up using automated and/or AI, okay? Now, I've talked about programs like Hatch, Structurally. I don't honestly care which one you use. I think that they've both got pros and cons. There's other ones. You can use your CRM possibly, but here's the thing, man. This stuff works, and I know it works because I got plenty of clients who are doing this, okay? So here's what you want to do. You want to use your program like Hatch or Structurally to flip your information offers into leads and current appointments, because that's ultimately how you're going to make money, okay? Now, part of the problem with this, the whole idea of getting people to fill out a form for an information offer is that you're going to generate a lot more leads, like I talked about earlier. That's good. But the problem is, not only they're not necessarily future buyers, they're not ready to set appointments right now, is that you can't even get them on the daggone phone in the first place. That's the biggest problem. In the olden days, the biggest problem was you call them on the phone. So you'd just mail them, and you'd have to mail them, and following up was a certified pain in the butt. And this is where almost everybody fell short. And so this is why I'm so excited about products like Hatch and Structurally and other similar ones, because now we let text messaging and automation do all the heavy lifting. It's going to cost you a few $100s a month to use these kinds of services probably, but that's okay. It's going to help you follow up with your leads when they come in. You couldn't hire a crappy minimum wage assistant to follow up with people for a few $100s a month, and these automated tools are going to perform much better than actually a great person on the phone doing manual follow-up. The text messages can go out at any interval that you want. You can say whatever you want on those. Here's what I'm going to recommend. I'm going to recommend that you offer to set appointments with them, that you offer to come into their house and give them a quote on the product. I'm going to suggest that you spend about 30 days, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about 6 or 8 or 10 different messages to set an appointment. And then what do you think I'm going to mix in with those appointment request text messages? Everything I talk about on here works in a synergistic way. Why not take all of these wonderful, beautiful, powerful, awesome identity-based blog posts that I'm talking about writing? Hopefully, if you're on level 10 SEO, you've got them coming out of your freaking wazoo. If you're not on level 10 SEO, question number 1, why not? Question number 2, well, at least you have some way of getting these blog posts. I don't talk about these for my health, and I don't talk about them just because I'm trying to sell you some crap. I mean, look, I'm probably going to do a better job at it than you will yourself, but who cares? Even if I don't, you've got to do it yourself, okay? It's the right way to do this marketing. It's going to make a huge difference in your business. And now what we can do is take Hatch or Structurally, and we can send out these beautiful little links to these blog posts, and you can start to educate people about who you are, how you're different, why you're better across the 5 pillars of identity. Products, yes, but also workmanship, core values, bedside manner, community, things that you're doing, culture things in your company, and you can start to nurture the living daylights out of your leads, okay? The future buyers, the investigators. If you've got 3 different identity-based blog posts that you're publishing on your website every month, then send them out a couple of times a month. That's 6 times that you can keep in touch with your prospects with these beautiful, awesome blog posts. So how long should you nurture these people for? How long should you send them these text messages? By the way, you can also send emails. I'd recommend it. Text messages are going to work better. Here's how long you should do it for. Ready? Forever. You just have to take a few minutes and set the darn thing up, and you can send this stuff out to these people via text messages on their phone forever. Follow up, use technology, use automation. It's a thing of beauty. It's an absolute no-brainer. I highly recommend it. You've got to get involved with this. You've got to be following up with your leads. You need to be using technology to follow up with your leads. It's a speed to lead thing, but it's also a quality of messaging thing with your leads, okay? Send them reviews from customers, job site photos, project photos, blog posts like we just talked about, case studies. All of this stuff should be sent to people via text message and email, okay? Now back to our specific topic of information offers. If you generate, let's say 200 leads a month of future buyers and you're only able to close, or at least let's say run 20% of those, you've got an extra 160 that are left over, okay? Now let's do the math on this. 160 times 12 months, 160 per month, 1,920 a year. We'll call it 2,000. We're going to round it off, okay? So if you put this together and you're sending these people consistently things via text messaging, guess what's going to happen? They're going to start falling down. These are the leads that are going to buy in the future. Not every single one of them. Who cares? How many of these people need to buy in the future to make this program worthwhile? What if 5%? Okay, that's 100 sales almost. It's 96 sales. If you're a kitchen company and you've got an average sale of, let's lowball it, kitchen refinishing, $30,000, it's like $3 million in sales. Okay, maybe you're not that big. People think, oh, okay, maybe it's not $3 million. Maybe you only had $1 million of sales. Oh my God, people, just listen to me. Think through this and be willing to do something a little bit different. Here's the thing. Information offers. 5 ways to cash in. First of all, understand the educational spectrum. Number 2, generate a list of future buyers. 3, create a report of some kind. Number 4, test. And then number 5, following up with technology. This is marketing that works. No fluff. We build systems that deliver 200 to 500 leads a month. If you do it right, you can do that through Google alone. If you want to learn more, if you want us to help you do this, click the link in the description and let's get started. Talk to you next time.